Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. A great way to support the show is go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood, where you can submit articles like this. Like Lauren D'Alessandro. Lauren, you've been supporting the show from early on. Very much appreciated. And Lauren is always focused on bringing us up to speed on a lot of like financial issues. We learned about the student loan bubble, and now we're going to learn. We've learned about the student loan bubble from Lauren. We've learned about the municipal, basically retirement plans. Like cities have these big, their municipal workers have these big retirement, plans, and cities have been gambling with them. We've learned all about that, but this is a great one. Every Federal Reserve board member is a multi-millionaire. Submitted by Lauren D'Alessandro. Well, this is shocking because I thought the Federal Reserve was here to help us. It's just set up for the rich to protect banks. I mean, what? Next thing you're going to tell me the EPA doesn't really protect the environment. It just gives a green light to fossil fuel companies to destroy it. Come on. I have a hard time believing that. There are 5 Senate-confirmed members of the Federal Reserve. It won't surprise you to know that all 5 of them are millionaires. It's sort of like shocked but not shocked. I mean, I didn't know this about the Federal Reserve. I'm glad, Lauren, thank you for submitting this article, so now we all know about it. But if you really think about how the United States is run, it is not a representative democracy, as they would have us all believe, through the American exceptionalism propaganda that mainly is fueled through Hollywood and the corporate media, right? So Hollywood does a great job. Hollywood is just a propaganda machine for the United States. We are a kleptocracy run by oligarchs. So I said this numerous times on the show. Goldman Sachs has had members in every presidential cabinet since Reagan. The Federal Reserve was started in 1913. It's a scam. The chair, Jay Powell, 67, is worth between 20 and 55 million, the richest Fed chair in history. We've only gotten one $1,200 stimulus check. We are starting into July. We are going into the 4th month of this pandemic shutdown. Randall Quarles, 62, is worth between 24 and 125 million. Richard Clarita, Dickie Chlamydia, 63, is worth $9 and $39 million. Michelle Bowman, 49, is between 2 and 12 million. That's unfair. That's sexism. Why does the woman make less? Why does the woman oligarch make less millions than the male oligarchs? We need to do something about that. No, we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. That's not the argument to take up. There's some neoliberal going to read this and go, hey, how come she's making less? The whole system's broken. None of these people should be millionaires. None of them. This shows you how corrupt it is. Lael Brainerd, 58, is worth between 3 and 11 million. Lael Brainerd, that's not a real name. Come on. They're all invested in various forms of indexes. Some are invested in private equity funds, BlackRock iShares, or various other assets referencing financial corporations. Boy. Weird. As we're getting ready to face another recession, but it'll be like the Great Depression and the housing crisis of 2008 combined. It'll be worse than anything we've ever seen, and it's coming. Because shit like this exists and is allowed to exist. But this is key here, that they're all invested in indexes because they strike me as a violation of Section 10, Part 5 of the Federal Reserve Act, which says no member of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System shall be an officer or director of any bank, banking institution, trust company, or Federal Reserve Bank, or hold stock in any bank, banking institution, or trust company. Wow. Look, we stop enforcing conflicts of interest like probably 2 decades ago, thanks to our good friend Bill Clinton, who got rid of Glass-Steagall in 1999. Glass-Steagall, he got rid of, which was a FDR era banking regulation, right? So the banks were completely unregulated back in the 20s, and that helped create the Great Depression. One of the things FDR ran on was high banking regulation. So they did all this banking regulation. And in the middle of the Monica Lewinsky, blowjob dress or whatever, distraction. Yes, Clinton lied to the grand jury about that. We're not here to discuss that nonsense. What did he do in the middle of that distraction? He repealed Glass-Steagall. Stuff that Clinton did, and then George Bush did, and then Obama did, helped create the housing crisis. And then nothing was put in place after the last housing crisis by Obama or anybody. So it's going to happen again. Only now it's going to be worse because thanks to the CARES Act, there's $4.25 trillion that went to Wall Street. So they're going to snatch up all these small businesses. They're going to be gone. In 3 years, gone. Gone. If not sooner. In 2 to 3 years, America will be unrecognizable. The federal board is comprised of those with graduate degrees and high net worths, most of whom are in their late 50s or early 60s in terms of age. Yeah, that's a cross section of America, right? Isn't that what this is? This is most Americans. Rich white people in their 50s or 60s, worth tens of millions of dollars. As people are like barely getting by because the quarantine, there's miles long of people and cars getting food banks. We're coming up on 20, soon to be 30% unemployment. Every month, there's millions of new unemployment claims made all over the country. I know people in California that still have not gotten their unemployment. It's about to be July. They still haven't gotten it. We've all been given one $1,200 check that's supposed to last us for 4 months. So that's basically $300 a month. The working class of America is actually the greatest cross-section of people ever. That is the melting pot of America. And working class people have been screwed across the board. You notice the media since the George Floyd protests have been going on for a month now. The media is really pushing this like race war, white versus black, when at the protest is a great cross section of people. Now, I'm not downplaying how severe and scary these white nationalists are. I mean, they just they're lynching people. Like it's horrific. It's horrific. This is also very economic. But the ruling class is trying to keep us all divided. Because the number of actual, the Trump rally in Tulsa showed, they only had 6,200 people there. They're a handful of people. They're a small percentage, but they're crazy and scary and some of them violent and all that stuff. But this isn't economic. We're all getting screwed. That's why Bernie Sanders quitting is so mystifying to me, because right now Bernie Sanders could be uniting the whole country behind workers' rights. But the whole system is broken. That's the point I know it seems like maybe I'm going off on tangents, but I'm not. I'm showing you the connection. I'm not downplaying the racism in this country, but as Fred Hampton said, capitalism helps create racism. And what we have really here is a class warfare. The 1% versus all of us. Versus all of us. If we actually had a real populist progressive leaders, they could unify this country and fight these folks. But it's tough. That's a tough thing you're going up against. The Federal Reserve is designed to keep the ruling class in power and to keep their banking system in power and to keep the 99%, which is all of us, in debt. Working shitty jobs. If you're lucky enough to go to college, you're going to rack up a bunch of student loan debt. They want you to work a shitty job just enough so you can get a car that you can't afford with a payment. And they just want just enough to work to pay high interest debt. Your credit card, your car loan, your mortgage, whatever. If you're lucky enough to own a home, they want more. They just want you in debt. They want all of us in debt. These people aren't in debt. 30 million unemployed people. How many unemployed people do we got right now during this pandemic? And it's only going to get worse because even as we reopen, there's a bunch of businesses that aren't going to be able to handle it, that are just going to be done. But as I said, no one on the federal board. There's not a cross section of people on the federal board. And how did they get there? How do they get appointed? How does this work? Do we vote on them? Do we get to vote on who gets to be on the Federal Reserve, the board? It's the democracy, right? I would assume. Members of the Key Policy Committee at the Fed, known as the Federal Open Markets Committee, that aren't even appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. So it's not even like so like the presidential cabinet, we have some kind of influence a little bit, not much. It's more of a charade, right? The president says, I want this person, like Steve Mnuchin. I want Steve Mnuchin to be Secretary of the Treasury. And then there's this pretend fight. We all showed up at town hall meetings and argue and stuff like that. But then somebody like Kamala Harris, who Steve Mnuchin donated to her campaign to be Attorney General of the state of California, and then U.S. Senator from California. He donated to both those campaigns. So when she was a senator, she approved his cabinet post. Technically, constituents can, lean on, and we all called in, don't approve this person or that person. But, like Dianne Feinstein voted for Mike Pompeo. Her Twitter feed was like, Mr. Pompeo, we don't support torture. And yet she voted for him. So even that is like an illusion. But they don't even put up this fake professional wrestling game. They don't put up this game show even with the confirmation hearings and the town hall meetings and all this fake. They don't even do that. The president and they don't even need to be. They don't even play. They don't even play the game. They don't need to. Who approves them? Who appoints them? Who hires them? They're hired by regional bankers to run federal branches. Wow. Doesn't this sound familiar? Who investigates violent and corrupt and bad police officers? Other police officers. This is you see how the whole I keep drawing parallels because I'm showing you the way the police departments are corrupt and systemic racism exists in them. Same thing. This is systemic classism. This is systemic screwing over the 99%. It's built. We don't even get a say in who runs the Federal Reserve, which is basically a banking cartel. We have no say in it. We have more say, just in theory here, in who's the CEO of a company, like some big corporation, in the way that I say vote with your dollars. Like I say, like whatever. I try to never take pharmaceutical unless I really last resort. I try to do all natural remedies. And that doesn't have much influence over CEO, but at least like it's like so there's this big boycott of, Starbucks pulled out of Facebook and they pulled $95 million in Facebook ads out of there, right? Out of Facebook. So, if Starbucks didn't do that, we could put a nationwide boycott. Right? General strikes. I mean, we have some, I know I'm drawing a very thin line here, but they don't even pretend with the Federal Reserve. It was actually a brief flashpoint during the debate. This is now, excuse me. So after the last financial meltdown in 2008, so 2009, and then when Obama got in office, right? 2009, 10, 11, there's all this debate, how we're going to fix things. There was a brief flashpoint during the debate over post-financial crisis legislation, whether bankers could continue to hire their own regulators. Bankers hiring their own regulators. Again, this makes as much sense as Pablo Escobar hiring another drug cartel, another drug dealer. Like, it's like unreal. Like, imagine if they bust a bank robber. Somebody It's been hitting banks all up and down the West Coast, and the jury is bank robbers. That's what this is. That's what this is. It's like white nationalists and Klan members becoming heads of police departments. I'm showing you the connections because so much of our systemic racism is also, it's the capitalism fuels the racism and fuels the classism. It fuels the ruling class. The ruling class needs cheap labor. The ruling class needs scary people, be they blacks or the federal department, the federal military budget needs enemies, Iran, Russia, whatever, to justify a for-profit prison system, for-profit military. It needs to justify military-grade equipment for the police departments. No civilian oversight, no external regulations, none of that. That's how they run everything. So the Federal Reserve doesn't even... So there was a debate over whether bankers could continue to hire their own regulators. Barney Frank's compromise was that they could. So I want everybody to know here, when this next financial crisis, it's coming right now. It's happening. This is the tip of the iceberg, just this kind of pandemic shutdown where it's basically being propped up. The collapse, the financial collapse is being propped up. What happens when this $600 a week ends? What happens? What happens if COVID comes back? And what happens? So Barney Frank, openly gay Democrat, right? Sides with the banks. Right? So he makes all this noise fighting for gay marriage, which I'm glad Obama passed gay marriage, and goes up against the evangelicals, right? That's the public debate that keeps us, red, Republican, Democrat, us versus them, my team, your team. But when it really comes down to it, behind closed doors, there's nothing more bipartisan than giving Wall Street whatever they want. Who was the compromise made with? It wasn't made with the American people. This was never brought to the American people. So let me see if I got this right. We can all file our taxes online. The IRS has created a complete secure system where we can upload documents with our social security numbers and money and banking and all this very sensitive information. We can e-file. We can file our taxes online, but we can't seem to figure out a safe, unhackable way to vote online. The only touchscreens we have are so hackable, it's by design. They literally, Diebold put a back-end hack into it so they can change it, which is how Joe Biden got the nomination, right? This is our corrupt system. This is Obama-Biden. This is when the Democratic Party had the House and the Senate and the White House, and this is what they did. Obama could have come down and said, and the Democrats could have said, no. Strict regulation. This is never happening again. Dodd-Frank, Barney Frank and Chuck Dodd, two sellout jackasses to Wall Street. So that's how the Federal Reserve works. A bunch of millionaires who are appointed by other millionaires determine how money really works in this country. But enjoy that $1,200, folks. Stretch it out for a fourth, maybe a fifth month. You'll be fine, right? I'm sure $1,200 to stretch out. $300 a month isn't bad because your rent is $26, right? A month's worth of groceries is probably $30 and gas is a nickel. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. The federal government's got your back. That's right. They got your back. Barney Frank retired. Nobody hears from him again. He's gone. The Democrats and the Republicans just conspired in the CARES Act to screw us all over, as they did 9-10 years ago. Thanks for watching the show. Boom. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/GrahamElwood or rockfin.com/GrahamElwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.